The massive warship known as the Dominion cut through the darkness of space like a knife. It was the pride of the Galactic Union, a vessel so advanced and powerful that its mere presence could end wars before they began. The ship stretched nearly 3 miles from end to end, its dark metal hull absorbing light rather than reflecting it. Weapon ports lined its sides, each capable of unleashing destruction that could level cities. Commander Dex stood on the bridge, his 4 eyes scanning the holographic displays that surrounded him. His gray skin wrinkled around his mouth as he frowned at the small blue planet ahead. Such an unremarkable world, he muttered. Hard to believe the Council considers it a threat. Don't underestimate them, Commander, said his second-in-command, Officer Wren. Intelligence reports suggest these humans are unpredictable. Dex waved a dismissive hand. They haven't even colonized their own moon properly. Their technology is primitive. We could conquer them with 1/10 of our fleet. Then why send the Dominion? Asked Wren, her voice low enough that only Dex could hear. The commander didn't answer. That question had bothered him since they received their orders. The Dominion wasn't just any warship. It was the most advanced vessel in the known galaxy, equipped with planet-killing weapons and stealth technology that made it virtually undetectable. Using it to monitor a pre-galactic civilization seemed like swatting a fly with a supernova. Begin scanning procedures, Dex ordered, pushing his doubts aside. I want complete data on their military capabilities, communication systems, and power grids. The crew moved with practiced efficiency, their hands dancing over control panels as the mighty ship slipped into Earth's orbit. The Dominion's cloaking, shield activated, bending light around its massive form to keep it hidden from Earth's primitive detection systems. Sir, called the sensor officer, I'm detecting unusual energy readings from the surface. Dex moved to the officer's station. What kind of readings? Unknown, sir. They don't match anything in our database. The commander's upper eyes narrowed. Impossible. Our database contains technology from every known civilization. Nevertheless, sir, these readings are... The officer stopped mid-sentence, his face showing confusion. They're gone now. Location? Multiple points across the planet, but heaviest concentration was here. The officer highlighted a region on the holographic globe of Earth, a landmass they call North America. Dex studied the map. Continue scans. I want to know what that was. Hours passed as the Dominion circled the planet, gathering information. Everything seemed normal. Primitive satellites, basic radio communications, nothing that should concern the most powerful civilization in the galaxy. Commander, Wren said, approaching his command chair. May I speak freely? Dex nodded. Something doesn't feel right. This mission, why would the Council waste the Dominion's time on such a backward world? Before Dex could answer, alarms blared across the bridge. Sir, shouted the sensor officer, those energy readings are back, but much stronger. They're everywhere. Dex jumped to his feet. Raise shields. Prepare weapons. Sir, the readings are changing. They're forming some kind of pattern around us. The ship shuddered slightly. What was that? Dex demanded. The engineer's voice came through the communication system, panic evident. Commander, something is interfering with our drive systems. The energy field is somehow resonating with our core. Impossible. Dex slammed his fist on the console. Nothing on this planet has technology capable of... The ship shuddered again, harder this time. Sir, the navigation officer called out, our position is becoming unstable. It's like space itself is folding around us. Dex's mind raced. This couldn't be happening. Not to the Dominion. Not because of humans. Emergency protocol. Send distress signal to Galactic Command. Tell them... The bridge lights flickered, then went dark. For a moment, there was only darkness and silence. When the emergency lights came on, Dex saw fear on every face of his crew. Status report, he demanded. Sir, we're nowhere. Explain. The navigation officer looked up, his face pale. Our sensors can't detect any stars, planets, or galaxies. It's like we've been removed from the universe. Admiral Wilson paced the length of the Galactic Council's emergency chamber, his boots clicking against the polished floor. Representatives from 17 advanced civilizations watched him nervously. "The Dominion has been missing for 48 hours, Wilson said, his voice echoing in the vast room. "Our most powerful warship with a crew of 5,000 has simply vanished." Murmurs spread through the alien delegates. "How is this possible?" asked the delegate from Proxima, a tall being with translucent skin. "The Dominion has the most advanced tracking systems in the galaxy. Not to mention weapons that could destroy entire continents," added another representative. Wilson stopped pacing and faced the council. "The last transmission we received indicated they were in orbit around Earth conducting routine surveillance." "Earth?" The Centaurian delegate leaned forward, her scaled face showing disbelief. "The primitive human world? They couldn't possibly have the technology to threaten the Dominion." "Apparently," Wilson said grimly, "our intelligence on Earth may have been incomplete." Silence fell over the chamber as the implication sank in. "If humans possess technology capable of neutralizing our flagship," the Proximan delegate said slowly, "we may be facing a greater threat than we realized." Wilson nodded. "Which is why I've already dispatched investigator Jack Reed to Earth. If anyone can discover what happened to the Dominion, it's him." Jack Reed stared out the viewport of his small scout ship as Earth grew larger in his view. He was a human himself, or at least his ancestors had been, generations ago before they left Earth to join the stars. His family had served the Galactic Union for 3 centuries, and he'd earned his reputation as the Union's best investigator through 20 years of solving the most difficult cases. But this one felt different, personal somehow. "Computer, review mission parameters," he said. The ship's AI responded in a calm voice. "Primary objective, determine the fate of the Galactic Union warship Dominion, last known position in Earth orbit. Secondary objective, assess potential Earth threat level." Jack ran a hand through his short brown hair. The Dominion wasn't just any ship. It was supposedly indestructible, a perfect blend of technology from the galaxy's most advanced civilizations. Its disappearance had sent shockwaves through the Galactic Union. Some council members were already calling for Earth's immediate quarantine or even preemptive strikes. His ship's communication system chimed. Investigator Reed, Admiral Wilson's holographic form appeared before him. "Have you reached Earth orbit?" "Just arriving now, sir. Beginning stealth procedures." Wilson nodded. "Remember, this is strictly reconnaissance. Make contact only if absolutely necessary. We don't know what we're dealing with." "What exactly am I looking for, sir?" Jack asked. "If the Dominion was destroyed, there should be debris, radiation signatures, something. That's just it, Reed. There's nothing. No debris, no distress signals from escape pods, no radiation. It's as if the ship simply ceased to exist." Jack frowned. "That's impossible." "So was the idea that humans could threaten our most powerful warship," Wilson said grimly. "Find answers, Reed. The entire galaxy is holding its breath." The hologram disappeared, leaving Jack alone with his thoughts as his ship slipped into Earth's atmosphere, cloaked from human detection systems. Below him spread a blue planet, seemingly peaceful and ordinary. Somewhere down there lay the answer to how a primitive world had made the most dangerous ship in the galaxy vanish without a trace, and why the rest of the universe was now terrified of what humans might do next. Jack Reed's small ship touched down in a clearing surrounded by tall pine trees. According to his scans, he was miles from the nearest human settlement, a small town called Pine Ridge. The night air was cool as he stepped onto Earth soil for the first time. His ancestors had left this planet centuries ago, yet something about it felt oddly familiar. The smell of the trees, the sound of wind rustling leaves, the distant call of some night animal, all of it stirred something deep in his genetic memory. Jack tapped his wrist device, activating the ship's cloaking system. The vessel shimmered briefly, then seemed to disappear into the darkness. His scanner indicated the last known coordinates of the Dominion had been directly above this region, before it vanished. "Time to see what humans are really capable of," he muttered to himself as he pulled out a small device that would help him blend in. The molecular restructurer hummed softly as it scanned his features, then projected a field around him that would make his slightly alien appearance. The two large eyes, the faintly blue-tinted skin, looked perfectly human to anyone he encountered. Jack hiked through the woods until he reached a road. His plan was simple: head into town, gather information, and try to determine if the locals knew anything about the missing ship. The Dominion was massive. If it had crashed or been destroyed, someone would have noticed something. Dawn was breaking when Jack reached Pine Ridge. It was smaller than he expected, just a few streets lined with simple buildings. Humans moved, about starting their day without any apparent concern for galactic matters. A sign advertising Mike's Auto Shop caught his attention. According to his research, vehicles were still a primary mode of transportation on Earth, which meant mechanics might be good sources of technical information. The shop was just opening as Jack approached. A man in his 40s with grease-stained hands was unlocking the front door. "Morning," the man said with a friendly nod. "Shop's not quite open yet, but if you're in a hurry, I can take a look at whatever's troubling you." Jack smiled, trying to appear casual. "Thanks, but I don't have a vehicle. I'm actually new in town, just passing through. Name's Jack." "Tom Miller," the man said, offering his hand. "What brings you to Pine Ridge? We don't get many tourists." Jack shook Tom's hand firmly, the way his cultural briefing had instructed. "I'm a researcher. I'm interested in unusual phenomena. There have been reports of strange lights in the sky around here recently." Tom's expression changed almost imperceptibly, a slight tightening around the eyes, a barely noticeable tensing of his shoulders. "Can't say I've noticed anything unusual," he said, his tone still friendly but more careful now. "Though we don't spend much time skywatching in Pine Ridge, too busy keeping things running." Jack noted the reaction. Tom was hiding something. "Mind if I ask you a few more questions? Maybe over coffee? I've been walking all night and could use the caffeine." Tom hesitated, then nodded. "Sure. Diner across the street makes decent coffee. Let me just tell my assistant he's in charge for a bit." The diner was nearly empty. They sat in a booth by the window, and a tired-looking waitress brought 2 cups of black coffee. "So," Tom said after taking a sip, "what kind of researcher are you exactly?" "I specialize in studying unexplained events," Jack said. "Not technically a lie. Particularly those that might have scientific explanations people don't yet understand." Tom nodded slowly. "Like UFOs?" Jack smiled. "Something like that. 2 nights ago, satellites detected an unusual energy pattern over this area. I'm trying to determine what might have caused it." "Satellites," Tom repeated, a hint of amusement in his voice. "Right." Jack leaned forward. "Mr. Miller, I get the feeling you know something about this." Tom set down his cup. "Look, Jack, if that's really your name, Pine Ridge is a quiet town. We like it that way. Whatever you think happened here, you're mistaken." "I didn't say anything happened," Jack pointed out. "Just that there was an energy pattern." Tom stood up. "I need to get back to the shop. Coffee's on me. Enjoy your stay in Pine Ridge, but I'd suggest not asking too many questions. Some folks around here aren't as friendly as I am." Jack watched him leave, more convinced than ever that Tom Miller knew something about the Dominion's disappearance. He finished his coffee, left a small tip from the Earth currency he'd been provided, and headed out to explore the town further. As he walked the streets, Jack noticed small details that seemed out of place for such a supposedly simple settlement. Satellite dishes that were slightly too advanced, power lines that carried more current than they should need. And occasionally, when he passed certain buildings, his scanner picked up faint traces of technology that shouldn't exist on Earth. By mid-afternoon, Jack had circled back to Mike's auto shop. He stood across the street, watching as Tom worked on an old truck. There was something about the mechanic that didn't add up. The way he handled tools, the precision of his movements. Tom Miller was no ordinary small-town mechanic. Jack's communicator vibrated. He ducked into an alley to answer it. "Reed," Admiral Wilson's voice came through clearly. "Any progress?" "I found something interesting," Jack reported. This town has technology that doesn't match Earth's official development level. Nothing obvious, but it's there if you know what to look for, and there's a local who's definitely hiding something. Do you think they're responsible for the Dominion? Too early to tell, but I'm going to follow this lead. Keep me updated, Wilson ordered. The Council is getting restless. Some members are already calling for military action against Earth. That would be premature, Jack cautioned. I agree. That's why I need you to find answers quickly. After ending the communication, Jack noticed something odd. Tom Miller was no longer working on the truck. Instead, he was looking directly at Jack as if he'd known exactly where he was hiding. Tom gestured for Jack to come over. Jack crossed the street, maintaining an appearance of calm. Need some help with that truck? Drop the act, Tom said, quietly. I know you're not human, at least not entirely. Your communication just set off detectors all over town. Jack tensed, ready to defend himself if necessary. Tom raised his hand slightly. I'm not looking for trouble, but if you want answers about what happened to your missing ship, you're going to need to be honest with me. Jack stared at him. How do you know about the ship? Because I helped make it disappear. Tom's eyes held Jack's steadily. And if your people are smart, they'll take it as a warning, not a declaration of war. Where is the Dominion? Jack demanded. Tom glanced around to make sure no one was within earshot. Not here, not gone either. It's elsewhere. If you want. To understand, you'll need to come with me. But leave your communication devices here. Where we're going, you won't want anyone listening in. Jack knew this could be a trap, but his instincts told him Tom was offering real answers. Lead the way. Tom nodded. Meet me at the edge of town at sunset. And Jack, come alone. For both our sakes. As Tom walked back into his shop, Jack was left with the unsettling realization that humans knew far more about the galaxy than the galaxy knew about humans, and that might be the most dangerous imbalance of all. The sun was setting behind the mountains when Jack arrived at the edge of town. Shadows stretched long across the empty road. He had left his communicator hidden in a secure location, as Tom had asked, but he kept his small personal weapon concealed, under his jacket. Trust only went so far. A beat-up truck pulled up beside him. Tom sat in the driver's seat, his face half hidden in shadow. Get in, Tom said, pushing open the passenger door. Jack climbed in, eyes scanning the vehicle's interior. It looked ordinary enough. Worn seats, old controls, a layer of dust on the dashboard. But his trained eye caught small inconsistencies. The engine ran too quietly, and the material of the seats wasn't quite like any fabric he'd seen on Earth. How much do you know about me? Jack asked as Tom drove away from town, heading into the darkening forest. Enough, Tom replied. You're Jack Reed, top investigator for the Galactic Union. Half human ancestry, which is why they sent you. Your job is to find out what happened to the Dominion and whether Earth poses a threat to the galaxy. Jack didn't bother denying it. And does it? Pose a threat? Tom's hands tightened on the steering wheel. Only to those who threaten us first. They drove in silence for nearly an hour, moving deeper into the wilderness. Finally, Tom turned onto a dirt road barely visible among the trees. After another mile, he stopped in front of what appeared to be an abandoned mining entrance. We walk from here, Tom said, grabbing a flashlight from under his seat. The mine entrance led to a short tunnel that ended at a solid rock wall. Tom placed his hand on a specific spot, and a hidden scanner hummed to life, reading his palm print. The rock wall slid silently open, revealing a modern elevator. Welcome to Sanctuary, Tom said as they stepped inside, one of 63 similar facilities around the world. The elevator descended rapidly. Jack estimated they went down at least half a mile before the doors opened onto a vast underground complex. People moved purposefully through wide corridors lined with advanced technology that would have impressed even the most developed worlds in the Union. This is impossible, Jack muttered. Earth's technological level is supposed to be at least a century behind this. Tom led him through the facility. That's what we wanted you to think. For the past 70 years, we've been carefully managing what the rest of the galaxy knows about us. They entered a large control room filled with holographic displays. One screen showed a three-dimensional model of the Dominion, rotating slowly. "Impressive ship," Tom remarked. "Planet-killer weapons, stealth technology, quantum shields. Your people really weren't taking any chances with us." "The Dominion was on a surveillance mission," Jack said defensively. Tom gave him a look of pure disbelief. "A surveillance mission with your most powerful warship? We've been monitoring galactic communications for decades, Jack. We know the Dominion was here to assess whether Earth should be neutralized before we became a potential threat." Jack wanted to argue but couldn't. He hadn't been briefed on the Dominion's full mission parameters, but Tom's words rang true. "How did humans advance so quickly?" he asked instead. "The historical records show your people only achieved basic spaceflight less than a century ago." Tom gestured for Jack to follow him into a smaller room. At its center stood a display case containing what looked like fragments of twisted metal with strange markings. "In 1947, something crashed in a place called Roswell," Tom explained. "Not the first alien vessel to reach Earth, but the first one. We managed to recover mostly intact. It wasn't from your union, it was from somewhere much farther away. The technology inside was beyond anything we could comprehend at the time, but we learned. We adapted. We kept it secret." Jack examined the fragments. "You reverse-engineered alien technology." "We did more than that," Tom said. "We improved it. Humans have a unique talent for seeing possibilities others miss. While the galaxy was watching our official space program struggle with simple rockets, we were building this." He swept his arm around, indicating the entire facility. A woman entered the room, carrying a tablet. "The displacement field is stable, Tom. The ship remains in the pocket dimension, but we're detecting increased attempts to scan for it." "Thanks, Lisa." Tom nodded. "Jack, this is Dr. Lisa Bell, our head physicist. She designed the system that removed the Dominion from our reality." Jack stared at Lisa. "You created a pocket dimension? That's beyond even the most advanced Union technology." Lisa smiled slightly. "Not a true pocket dimension, more like a fold in space-time. The ship exists in a state of quantum uncertainty. Neither fully here nor fully gone. We call it phase shifting." "Can you bring it back?" Jack asked. "Of course," Tom said. "That's the point. We didn't destroy your ship because we don't want war. We just wanted to send a message, leave us alone." Jack's mind raced with the implications. Earth wasn't just technologically advanced. It possessed technology the Union had never even theorized. If humans could remove a warship from reality, with the push of a button, what else could they do? "There's more you need to see," Tom said, leading Jack from the room. They walked through a massive hangar where workers were constructing sleek vessels unlike any Jack had seen before. "Our first fleet of deep space explorers," Tom explained. "Powered by drive systems based on principles your scientists haven't discovered yet. Faster than your best ships, with defenses even the Dominion couldn't penetrate." "You're preparing for war," Jack said grimly. Tom shook his head. "We're preparing to defend ourselves if necessary, but we prefer peace. Earth wants to join the galactic community, but as equals, not as subjects." They reached another control room. A large screen showed the Dominion, suspended in what looked like swirling gray mist. "There's your missing ship," Tom said. "Crew is fine. They're in a state of temporal suspension. They don't even know anything happened." "Why are you showing me all this?" Jack asked. "You could have just denied everything." Tom leaned against a console. "Because I need you to deliver a message to your admiral and the council. Earth is ready to return the Dominion and establish peaceful relations with the Union, but on our terms. We won't be colonized, controlled, or guided by your people. We've seen how the Union treats developing worlds, turning them into resource planets or tourist destinations. That won't happen here." Jack felt a strange mix of emotions: pride in his human ancestors' ingenuity, fear of what this meant for the galaxy's future, and somewhere deep inside a sense that Earth deserved the right to determine its own path. "What if the Council refuses your terms?" he asked. Tom's expression hardened. "Then we'll release the Dominion as a gesture of good faith, but we'll also release full details of this technology to every world in the Union. Think about what would happen if every planet could suddenly shield themselves from Union ships. Your carefully managed galactic order would collapse overnight. It wasn't just a threat. It was a promise. Jack realized that Earth might be the most dangerous world in the galaxy, not because it wanted war, but because it had the power to completely change the rules. "I'll deliver your message," Jack said finally, "but it won't be easy for them to accept." "Nothing worth doing ever is," Tom replied. "The question is whether the galaxy is ready to accept that humans aren't the primitive species they thought we were." Admiral Wilson's face grew increasingly pale as Jack delivered his report. They sat in the Admiral's private quarters aboard the Union command ship Vigilance, which had moved to the edge of Earth's solar system after Jack's urgent request for a meeting. "This can't be possible," Wilson said, rising from his chair to pace the room. "You're telling me that humans have technology that surpasses our own? That they can simply remove our most powerful warship from reality?" "I've seen it with my own eyes," Jack confirmed. "They call it phase shifting. The Dominion exists in a fold of space-time, neither fully here nor gone, and that's just one of their advancements." Wilson stopped pacing. "Could they be bluffing, showing you prototypes or theoretical models that don't actually work?" "The Dominion is proof they're not bluffing," Jack pointed out. "And there's more. They've been monitoring our communications for decades. They knew the Dominion wasn't just on a surveillance mission." Wilson's jaw tightened. "That was classified at the highest level." "Yet they knew," Jack said. "They also have ships ready to launch, faster and more advanced than ours according to what they showed me." The Admiral sank back into his chair. "How did we miss this? Our intelligence indicated Earth was at least a century away from achieving interstellar travel. That's what they wanted us to think. They've been hiding their true capabilities since they recovered alien technology from a crash in the mid-20th century. And now they want to join the Union," Wilson said, shaking his head. "As equals." "As equals," Jack confirmed. "With full voting rights in the Council and protected status for Earth. They won't accept being classified as a developing world or having Union oversight of their technology." Wilson's expression darkened. "The Council will never agree to those terms." "No. World enters the Union as a full member. There's a process. Evaluation periods, technology sharing, cultural integration. It takes decades." "Earth isn't asking," Jack said quietly. "They're demanding. If the Union refuses, they'll release the Dominion as a show of good faith, but they'll also share their phase-shifting technology with every world in the Union." "That would be chaos," Wilson whispered. "If every planet could shield themselves from Union ships, our authority would collapse overnight." "Exactly," Jack nodded. "This isn't just about Earth. It's about the entire structure of galactic power. The Tau." Admiral stared at the star map on his wall, lost in thought. "I need to convene an emergency council session. This goes beyond my authority." 3 days later, Jack stood at attention in the great chamber of the Galactic Council. Representatives from all 17 member species were present, their faces showing varying degrees of shock, anger, and fear as Admiral Wilson concluded his briefing. "This human ultimatum is unacceptable," declared the Proximan delegate, his translucent skin flushing purple with anger. "We cannot allow a single planet to dictate terms to the entire Union." "How do we know they're not bluffing?" asked the representative from Sirius. "Perhaps they got lucky with the Dominion, but that doesn't mean they have the capability to do more. Our investigator has confirmed their technological level," Wilson replied, "and the continued absence of the Dominion supports their claims." The Centaurian delegate leaned forward. "Then perhaps we should demonstrate our own power. The Union fleet could surround Earth, demand the return of the Dominion, and threaten consequences." Jack stepped forward. "With respect, delegate, such actions would likely trigger exactly what we fear. Earth has made it clear they would rather share their technology with every world than submit to threats. Then we neutralize them before they can act," the Proximan said coldly. A murmur ran through the chamber. Even in the face of this crisis, the suggestion of destroying an inhabited world was shocking. The eldest member of the council, a Canopian whose species had been spacefaring for 10,000 years, raised his hand for silence. "I have seen many worlds rise to join our community," he said, his voice carrying surprising strength for his ancient frame. "Never have we faced one that held such leverage before even making contact. Perhaps that is our failure, not theirs." He turned to Jack. "Investigator Reed, you have human ancestry. What is your assessment of Earth's true intentions?" Jack considered, his words carefully. "I believe they genuinely want peace. They could have destroyed the Dominion, but they chose to preserve it and its crew. They're not seeking war. They're seeking respect. They know the Union's history of guiding developing worlds in directions that benefit the Union more than the worlds themselves." The Canopian nodded slowly. "And if we refuse their terms, then we risk not just losing our authority over Earth," Jack said, "but our authority throughout the galaxy." The chamber erupted in heated debate. Some delegates insisted on military action, others suggested negotiations to water down Earth's demands, and a few wondered aloud if Earth's technology could benefit the entire Union if properly shared. After hours of argument, Admiral Wilson called for order. "We must respond to Earth's message," and he said. "The longer we delay, the more time they have to prepare alternatives." The Council voted to send a delegation to Earth, led by Wilson himself, with Jack as the intermediary. They would offer modified terms. Earth would enter the Union with provisional member status, accelerated to full membership in 10 years instead of the usual 50, with guarantees of non-interference in their internal development. 3 days. Later, Jack sat across from Tom Miller in an elegant conference room in Washington, D.C. Behind Tom sat 5 humans representing Earth's major regions. Behind Jack sat Admiral Wilson and 4 senior council members. "Your counteroffer is noted," Tom said after Wilson presented the council's proposal. "But it doesn't address our core concern. Provisional membership still places Earth under Union authority, when we've already demonstrated we don't require your guidance." "The Union has procedures," Wilson insisted. "No world has ever skipped provisional status. No world has ever removed your flagship from reality," one of the Earth representatives responded. "We've earned our place at the table." The tension in the room was thick enough to cut with a knife. Jack could see Wilson's frustration mounting. The Admiral was used to dealing from a position of power, not negotiating with equals. "Perhaps we should discuss the specifics of what provisional status would entail," Jack suggested, trying to ease the standoff. For the next several hours, the two sides went back and forth, outlining points of contention and possible compromises. The Earth delegation remained firm on their core demands: full membership, no technology oversight, and guaranteed non-interference. As the day wore on, both sides grew increasingly frustrated. Finally, Tom looked directly at Wilson. "Let me be clear, Admiral. Earth has lived in the shadow of potential alien conquest for over 70 years. We've prepared accordingly. We don't want war, but we will not accept second-class status in the galaxy, not when we've proven our capabilities." Wilson's expression hardened. "And the Union cannot appear to bend its most fundamental rules because of coercion." "Then we seem to be at an impasse," Tom said. Jack felt the weight of the moment. The future of Earth-Union relations, perhaps the future of the Union itself, hung in the balance. "May I suggest a recess?" he said. "Perhaps after everyone has had time to consider the implications, we can find a path forward." Both sides agreed, though with visible reluctance. As they filed out of the room, Admiral Wilson pulled Jack aside. "This isn't going well," he said quietly. "The Council is discussing alternative measures if negotiations fail." Jack felt a chill. "Military action would be a grave mistake." "I agree," Wilson said, surprising Jack. "But I don't control the entire Council. If we don't find a solution soon, those calling for more drastic steps may gain the upper hand." Jack watched the Earth delegation conferring in a corner, their expressions serious. He knew both sides were weighing their options, and that the peace of the galaxy hung in the balance. The morning sun streamed through the windows of the conference room as negotiations resumed. The atmosphere was tense, with both Earth and Union delegates looking tired after a night of separate strategy sessions. Jack had spent the night shuttling between the two groups trying to find common ground. He now stood at the center of the room addressing everyone present. "Before we continue where we left off," he said, "I'd like to propose a different approach." All eyes turned to him. As the only person with ties to both Earth and the Union, Jack had a unique perspective that neither side could claim. "The core issue isn't really about membership status or regulations," Jack continued. "It's about trust and respect. The Union doesn't trust that Earth will use its advanced technology responsibly without supervision. Earth doesn't trust that the Union will respect its sovereignty." Admiral Wilson frowned. "The Union has protocols for a reason. We've seen what happens when worlds with advanced technology act without coordination." "And Earth has kept its technology secret for a reason," Tom countered. "We've seen how the Union treats worlds it considers less advanced." Jack nodded to both of them. "Exactly my point. Neither side trusts the other's intentions. So let's address that directly." He turned to Tom. "Earth wants recognition as an equal and protection from interference. What if the Union granted Earth special status, not as a provisional member but as an independent allied world? Full voting rights in the Council, no oversight of internal affairs, but with agreements to collaborate on technology that could affect galactic stability?" Tom's expression showed interest. "Go on," Jack turned to Wilson. "The Union's greatest concern is that Earth's technology could destabilize the galactic order if widely shared. What if Earth agreed to certain limitations on technology distribution, not because the Union demands it, but as part of mutual security agreements that all members follow?" Wilson exchanged glances with the other Union delegates. "It would be unprecedented." "So is Earth's situation," Jack pointed out. "Sometimes new problems require new solutions." For the next several hours, the two sides explored Jack's proposal. The independent allied world status would give Earth the recognition and protection it wanted, while addressing the Union's concerns about stability. Earth would maintain control of its phase-shifting technology, but agree to use it defensively only. The Union would acknowledge Earth's right to develop its own path, while Earth would respect certain galactic standards on potentially destructive technologies. By mid-afternoon, the outlines of an agreement began to take shape. Admiral Wilson conferred with the Council via secure channel, while the Earth delegation discussed terms among themselves. "There's one more issue we need to address," Tom said after these consultations. "The Dominion." Wilson nodded. "Yes, the Union requires its return as part of any agreement." "We're prepared to release it," Tom replied, "but under certain conditions. First, we want guarantees that no Union warships will enter Earth's solar system without prior notification and permission, except in case of genuine emergencies." "Reasonable," Wilson agreed after a moment's consideration. "Second," Tom continued, "we want access to certain Union databases, scientific knowledge, star charts, cultural records, not military information, but the knowledge that any full member would have." Wilson frowned. "That's typically granted gradually during the provisional period." "Which Earth is skipping," Tom said firmly. "Knowledge sharing should go both ways." After some negotiation, Wilson agreed to limited database access that would expand over 5 years, rather than the typical 50. "There's one final matter," Jack said, looking at both sides. "The crew of the Dominion has been in temporal suspension for weeks now. When they're released, they'll have no idea what happened or why. How do we explain this to them and to the rest of the galaxy?" This sparked a new round of discussion. Eventually, they decided on a carefully worded announcement. The Dominion had encountered an unknown spatial anomaly while surveying Earth. Through joint efforts by Union and Earth scientists, the ship had been recovered. This explanation would save face for the Union while establishing Earth's technical capabilities without revealing the full extent of their technology. 2 days later, Jack stood with Tom and Admiral Wilson on a hilltop overlooking a vast empty field. Below them, scientists from both Earth and the Union made final preparations. "Are you sure this will work?" Wilson asked, eyeing the complex array of equipment the humans had set up. "We've done extensive testing," Tom assured him. "The phase shift will reverse exactly as planned." Jack felt a strange mix of emotions. The negotiations had succeeded beyond his expectations. Earth would enter the galactic community on its own terms, neither conquering nor conquered. The Union would gain a powerful new ally rather than a dangerous rival. It wasn't the solution either side had originally wanted, but perhaps it was better than both. "Initiating phase reversal in 30 seconds, announced Dr. Lisa Bell over the communication system. The equipment below hummed to life. Energy readings spiked on the monitors. The air above the field seemed to shimmer and distort. "Something's happening," Wilson said, tension evident in his voice. The distortion grew more pronounced. Then, with a flash of light and a thunderous sound that shook the ground beneath their feet, the massive form of the Dominion appeared in the sky. For a moment it hung there, a dark silhouette against the blue. Then gently, it lowered to the ground as Earth's gravity took hold. "Remarkable," Wilson breathed. "Phase shift successfully reversed," Lisa reported. "The ship's systems are coming back online. Crew life signs are normal." Tom turned to Wilson. "Your ship is returned, Admiral, as promised. The crew will wake with no memory of what happened." "As far as they're concerned, only a few seconds have passed," Wilson nodded. "Thank you. I'll board immediately to help explain the situation to Commander Dex." As Wilson walked toward the newly returned ship, Tom turned to Jack. "What will you do now?" he asked. "Return to the Union or stay on Earth?" Jack looked out at the field where humans and Union representatives were already beginning to work together, studying the effects of the phase shift and establishing communications with the Dominion. "I think I'm needed here," he said. "Someone has to help bridge these two worlds. My human ancestors gave me a connection to Earth. My life in the Union gives me understanding of the galaxy. Perhaps this is what I was meant to do." Tom smiled. Earth could use someone who understands both sides. As they watched, the Dominion's main hatch opened. Commander Dex emerged, looking confused but unharmed, with Admiral Wilson at his side. Earth's most advanced ships remained hidden in their underground hangars, a precaution that both Tom and Jack had agreed was wise. Trust would take time to build. "Do you think it will work?" Jack asked. "This alliance between Earth and the Union, it won't be easy," Tom admitted. "There will be skeptics on both sides. Some humans will worry about alien influence. Some Union species will resist treating humans as equals. But I believe it's possible." Jack nodded. "The beginning of a new chapter in galactic history, and perhaps a better one," Tom added. "One where advancement isn't measured by who has the biggest warship, but by who can find new solutions to old problems." As the sun began to set, casting long shadows across the field, Jack felt a sense of hope. The dangerous ship that had vanished on Earth had returned, but the true significance was what had happened in between. A world that had been deemed primitive had proven its worth. A galactic power that had never been challenged had learned to compromise. And somewhere in the vast cosmos, other worlds were watching, wondering what this new balance of power might mean for their own futures in a galaxy where the rules had suddenly changed.